Hi, and welcome to What's New in Jenkins LTS. Today we're going to be talking about the last of the 387 line. That's going to be 2.387.3. My name is Darren Pope. I'm a developer advocate at CloudBees, and along with me today, I have Mark Waite. Mark, how are you doing?
Just great, Darren. How are you?
Good. So here we are at the end of a line. Well, let's not get morbid about it, but we're at the end of the LTS line for this one. So at 387.3.
Yep.
Should be quiet. We'll see in a few moments. It actually is, but with a twist.
Yes.
We'll talk to that in just a minute. Can you believe it? It's already May.
I can actually. I'm loving May. May has been really good to me.
That's good. I'm getting there. I'm not quite there yet, but it's only the 4th. Oh, wait. We both forgot our shirts.
Oh, I did. You're right. It is. May the 4th be with you. It's Star Wars Day, and we missed it, Darren. Shame on us. Oh, well.
Completely missed it. That's okay. It didn't even click until right now as soon as I was starting to say it. Anyway, hi, everybody. Thanks for being with us live here today. If you're watching the replay, yeah, we're usually this cheesy, so just bear with us for a few minutes.
Get over it.
This won't be a super long video, just because there isn't that much to talk about, which is what we expect for the last of the LTS line. Always.
Exactly.
Now, if people are questioning what the heck is Jenkins LTS, Mark, why don't you walk us through that?
Sure. So what is Jenkins long-term support release? Jenkins chooses a baseline release every 12 weeks. Every 3 months, we pick that baseline. That baseline then gets a few selected backports to assure that it's stable, reliable, and then 4 weeks, we do an initial release of a .1, 2.387.1. 4 weeks later, we do a 2.387.2. 4 weeks after that, a 2.387.3. The idea is that it gives a nice stable basis for people who want to spend a little less time doing upgrades and a little more time focused on, hey, let's keep things going.
And that's where we're at. We're at the .3 right now. Mm-hmm. It doesn't get any more stable than this, I don't think, at least for this line.
It does not.
So let's just get into the notes because they're short this week. They're like really short. Okay, this first one, I couldn't figure it out. I went through the ticket, the Jira issue, and tried to figure out, okay, where does this actually live? Because recently, like I believe in this LTS line, the new node link disappeared from the left nav, and it's now a button over on the right-hand side.
Correct.
Right? Which was new to me. Again, muscle memory, I'm used to clicking on new node.
Right.
On the left nav. Now I'm used to the blue button, but then when I saw restore new node, I went, oh yeah, maybe the link is back. And I was like, sad face. I didn't find it after this.
Right. So if I remember right, the magic there is that if you didn't have permission, if you had only node creation permission, the button wasn't there either. And now it actually is there.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. It's usually the other way around sometimes, right?
Right.
You got too much permission. You shouldn't have this.
Exactly. And that's the nature of permissions things, right? Is permissions things, I have to check in this permission mode, is this exactly permitted or not permitted as it should be? Yep. Permissions checks are notorious that way. A little too much, a little bit too little. Yeah.
It's like the bear in the porridge. Is it a little too hot? Is it a little too cold? We'll see. Okay. Fix delete build button, text overflow. That seems pretty straightforward. No big deal.
Yep.
Hide the restart Jenkins checkbox in the update center if the controller doesn't support it. Now this one was strange to me.
Well,
which controller wouldn't support a restart now?
Well, okay, I like the conversation about that because there are plenty of controllers that don't support a restart now, but they mistakenly would present it. For instance, on Windows, a day or two ago, I started the Jenkins war file. And I started the Jenkins war file from a command line, java -jar jenkins.war. And in that environment, there isn't a way for it to do a restart. Why? Because it doesn't have control of the command processor to give itself restarted. So if it correctly then now says, hey, not going to show it to you. Likewise, in our container images, if you don't give the right container restart argument, The container image will say, oh, then I'm not going to restart for you. You are responsible to ask Docker to do the restart for you. And they're both valid cases.
Never thought about that.
Yeah, well, and because you and I, at least I'm accustomed to, I installed with the deb file or the RPM file, and systemd handles that for me. That's systemd's job, right? Systemd will take care of restarting that service. And, oh yeah, that's how it should be. And containers, sitting in Kubernetes, for instance, there's something that is configured to restart it. It's these rather developer kind of cases that are less likely to have that restart. And most people don't run those things in production anyway, right? You don't start Java -jar Jenkins.war on your production server. You let something else manage the service.
Okay, so we'll move on from that to the last one, and only the last one. Now, all 4 of these were considered bugs. If you're not following along, these are 4 red balls, but they're really small.
Right, red dots.
And the legend's here at the top. So it's just a bug fix. So all 4 of these were classified as bug fixes.
Right.
Which is also very good to know about for the last of the LTS line. It's just bug fixes. That's it.
Right.
We'll talk more about what's coming in a minute. Supporting emojis in Job DSL scripts. Okay. Why?
Why?
Because you can?
More importantly, because we are more and more attached to the fact that an emoji can convey a message much more rapidly than the same thing in text. And that conveying a message is important on things like dashboards, on places where there's a status. If I've got an emoji in that place, I can get a lot more information out of it if I know what the emoji means, right? That's the thing we infer there. But those emojis have become an increasingly common thing amongst all sorts of communities. And if you don't support emojis, you risk that they will not be able to communicate the same way.
Okay, so we're supporting emojis. But I have a feeling that there was a dark side to this. See what I did? It's May the 4th.
Right, exactly. And there is a little bit of, well, it's a fun thing to look into the world of Unicode and where emojis come from, and that there are these layers of information in Unicode about different implementations of things, and emojis are on a particular implementation layer. And I apologize, I don't remember the exact words for it. There is a plane in Unicode, and emojis sit there, and we needed to do some special work in order to allow us to support emojis.
Which leads us to the upgrade guide.
Right.
Now, we tell you every time, by the way, if you're here for the first time, thanks for being here. But we always remind people, always take a look at the upgrade guide. This is really one of those times.
Right.
Because I was scratching my head. So the link to the upgrade guide can always be clicked here. Now, I've already got it pulled up here, and I'm on the one for .3, which is today's. Extreme 2, unable to round trip ASCII null.
Right. Now, that's an awful lot of fascinating words, right? So ASCII null is the 0 byte. It's a byte whose value is 0, commonly used in C programs to end the string. It's an uncommon value, and in fact, in XML 1.1, it is strictly disallowed by the specification. So XML 1.1 does not allow you to store ASCII null, but we were doing it. And we were doing it because we were using a rather old and outdated XML writer. Well, we switched. We now have a new, modern XML writer, and that's a good thing.
No problems with that. And it's just the writer, correct? Or is it by changing the writers, does that change our reader?
No,
because I haven't dug into.
It's actually just the writer.
Okay.
And that's why it says here, can no longer save text with the ASCII null character.
Okay.
But, and this is the but part, because the JUnit plugin, as one example, in the previous versions would sometimes write a null byte, then rely on Jenkins to read that back. And now we're going to say, nope, you've got to use the modern version of the JUnit plugin.
So along with this, since last time, there's also been, it sounds like, another release of JUnit to
Right.
cover handling the null byte.
What the JUnit plugin does now is it refuses to write the null byte.
Okay.
And therefore,
So,
Jenkins doesn't have to read it.
got it. So it's just not writing it, so that means you might be missing data? Is that what you want to call it?
Old data, because ASCII null bytes are not allowed in XML. Old data may not present itself. The JUnit plugin will no longer write it, and so your new test results will be visible because it filtered null bytes on the right side when it was pushing them out.
Got it. So obviously, if you have a problem, make sure you've upgraded all your plugins.
Right, which is an ongoing theme, right? When you're doing an upgrade, please upgrade your plugins. Good to upgrade them right before performing the upgrade, then upgrade them again right after.
Now, I do want to call out, this has been a little bit different for this 387 line. There have been upgrade notes for each one, 1, 2, and 3.
Correct.
Which is a bit of an oddity, because I can't remember the last time that's happened.
It is a bit of an oddity, and that the upgrade note guide from the last one was tragically one of the most popular blog posts on Jenkins.io. Tragically, because we've got a retrospective to do. There's a lot better way we can do that. The experience of rolling the signing key was not nearly as transparent as we would have liked it to have been for our Debian and our Red Hat users.
Yep, I'm still going through and updating all of my playbooks right now to pull in the right key.
Exactly. Well, and we've had good suggestions from people. You know, there's an easier way to do this, and the Debian project tells you how to do it the easier way. We got to have somebody implement it.
Okay. Think about it. This may not have been the shortest, but it's really close to being the shortest list that we've seen in a long time. Mm-hmm. Now, next week, just in case you happen to be in Vancouver, British Columbia, I think the only reason you'd go there is to either go film a Hallmark movie or go to CDCon. I don't know which one, or go film one of the 1,700 TV shows that are filmed in Vancouver. CDCon is next week.
It is.
With GitOpsCon. Mark will be there.
I will.
Do you realize it's going to be probably cold there? Of course, where you live, it's cold all the time.
No, remember, this is the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, that's true.
And so it'll probably be damp, but most of the time the temperatures are quite mild, and I'm expecting it's going to be mild and a little bit damp. At least I expect Vancouver is somewhat like Seattle, and the Seattle experience is almost always it's damp and things are green and vivid growing, right? The water falls from the sky there. It's really different than Colorado where I live.
That's true. And also, if you happen to be there, Mark has a session on Monday, 11:15. Times can change. The speaker won't change though because Mark is going.
That's right. Yeah, so we're gonna have some good fun. Please, if you're at CDCon, say hello. I'd love to hear from people. It's great to meet members of the Jenkins community as we're at these conferences. Please stop by, say hi.
Is that it? Oh,
That's
wait.
it.
Do we want to tease it? Do we want to go ahead and tease what's coming up in the next LTS?
Oh, yeah. Well, so the next LTS is I think, kind of cool, but more about the things that are internal than outside. There are some modernization efforts that have started. Things that moving towards getting rid of some really old components. So I'm excited. I'm jazzed. 2.401 is the next LTS baseline. It's been chosen, and about 4 weeks from now, it'll be released. And 2.401.1 is going to be a good release. It looks really promising.
So we'll be back on June 1st. I did send you an invite, Mark, by the way, in case you didn't see it. Which is, can you believe it? It'll be June at that point.
Yep.
Does that mean it's almost time for taking vacations?
It's summer is coming in the Northern Hemisphere. That's great.
I'm looking forward to it. So we'll be back in about 4 weeks. I can't remember if this. Do you remember if it's the same time? Doesn't matter. It may be the same time. It may not be because Mark has meetings. I have meetings. I put this to the end of my day. Mark's just getting out of lunch. Okay, whatever. Well, we show up when we show up. Subscribe to the channel. That way you'll be notified when we schedule it. We schedule it about a day in advance, so you'll hear about it then. So thanks everybody for being with us today, and we will see you again in about a week.